What's good, everybody, and welcome to the brand review. Today we're doing our news update, our more regular format. We're going to be looking at three brands that have...
It's a AAA episode, actually.
It's a AAA?
AAA episode.
Ooh, actually, yeah, I never realised that. We have a AAA episode, so if you're adverse to A's, look away now. But yeah, we have three brands that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at Amazon, which has recently been rebranded by Koto. We also have Ubisoft's Anno, which was done by Wolff Olins, and we're going to be looking at Adobe, which Mother Design have had a little tinkle with.
That's the 3 A's, if you haven't noticed.
But first of all, brilliant. But first of all, a little recap, actually, of some stuff that's been going on for us. We have recently just been in London, which was pretty cool. We were at the D&AD festival. We were asked to speak there. I'll put a link in the description or up here somewhere. You can look at the video that we just released. We were there vlogging it. We were asked by Lisa Smith, or put in touch via Lisa, to get on stage. So thank you to Lisa. That was super cool and an amazing experience. We met some really great people. And yeah, we got to conquer some fears, I would say. Well, I certainly did. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a different thing sitting in front of a camera like this, talking to a glassy hole.
Sorry, can you rephrase that?
Or lens, in this case. Or yeah, being on stage where a couple of people listen to what you're saying carefully.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And at the same time, whilst that was happening, we also had the team over here picking up this little thing that I have here.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know what that is, that's a nail. That's from the ADC. So we actually won an award, a nail for Undiscovered. It's pretty cool. So that's what happens when you, enter an award with the hope that something's going to happen. Maybe it does. We got one of those. All right, cool. Enough about us. Let's jump into some stuff that's been going on. So I think, first of all, should we have a look at Adobe?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Adobe first, why
What's
not?
Adobe? I think we need to explain Adobe, right?
I don't know, maybe we do, a little bit, to maybe our younger audience. Because sometimes I actually forget what Adobe is, to be quite honest.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's software for creative people in all kinds of fields and industries.
It was actually established in 1982, if you believe that, and it was actually first established or created to digitize print production. First of all, I think it was Adobe Illustrator was actually one of the first pieces of software. Then Photoshop, and then
Acrobat Reader, the good old Acrobat Reader.
Yeah, and since then a lot has happened. A good few years ago, everybody was using Adobe. I mean, we still use it to edit things like this, and we also do stuff with After Effects. But it has fallen from grace, let's put it that way, with the rise of other competitors, namely Figma. And Adobe had to do something about it because it was losing, and is still losing, market share. So they asked Mother Design to have a look at the brand.
Yeah, and I think they did quite a good job, in my opinion. Because...
Ooh, controversial. Okay, yeah, go on.
I mean, first of all, you look at it and you feel like, has anything changed? Probably if no one...
Which is actually a good thing.
If no one tells you that they have done like a rebranding, you probably wouldn't notice it. I mean, of course, most of the people are designers and probably notice something. But what they've done before, they had like a word mark and a logo. And now they were not, I mean, the logo was not like in the same typeface. Anyway, they kind of brought them both together. So the word mark is now part of, the logo is part of the word mark. And it works.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, they said that the logo is iconic enough, or was iconic enough to do that. And if you were to redesign it today, it would probably never happen, this A. Because it just didn't work as a piece of design.
We also in Germany we have a strong competitor logo.
Yeah.
In Germany we
this
have
one.
This one, yeah, that's when you actually lost your job or don't have one. Then you go to the so-called Arbeitsamt or job center.
Yeah.
And it's very Adobe-like, let's say.
It's quite similar.
Also, the color palette is very similar, and it has not very positive vibes here in Germany, this logo.
Yeah, but from what I read, Adobe were kind of very proud and, are flexing on this A. But if I've been a long time Adobe user, it doesn't spring to mind, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Oh, Adobe, it's that logo. Yeah, so, yeah, they went ahead and like reworked that and put it together. And some plus points that you did say is that it looks like nothing has happened. I suppose that's what they say, good design is design that you don't see. But for me, if I look at everything, right, and I look at brands like Figma, Figma have said that they have managed to create fans rather than users. And Adobe still have users. I don't know anybody who's a fan of Adobe. You just have to use it, right? Because some of their tools are kind of legacy tools and you still use them for certain things. But if I look at what they've done, it reminds me of, like, I don't know, your dad wearing...
They stay true to themselves.
No, it reminds me of your dad wearing, like, a rock t-shirt or something. It doesn't quite fit right. It's a bit cringe, to be honest.
Yeah, I have a little different opinion about this. I feel like they took things that were distinctive
yeah.
and made them like get rid of all the noise around it. So they had the logo and the typeface. I mean, I was never a big fan of the ducks, for example, the ducks typeface, and the whole word mark, looks like a bit like ducks, and then they created a font out of it, But they didn't try to be like Figma or all the other tools, They really stick to what they had and what people
love about Adobe.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. I think they should.
Let's say what makes them distinctive.
Yeah, but distinctively old-fashioned and plain and boring. We can't agree on everything, right?
No.
I'm glad that we don't agree on this. I think they had the chance to do something very different and make a bigger impact, and it's a bit meh.
Yeah,
it ticks lots of boxes, but for a company that's supposed to be the forward edge of design and creativity, then give me a bit more than just safe and ticking boxes.
And it's also easy to to bash on them, but I think also in terms of community building, they did also, like the Adobe Max conference. They've done this probably before there was any Figma event.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we're not talking about Adobe Max. We're talking about this
but we're talking
logo
about community
rebrand.
Building.
Yeah, okay. Fair dues. All right, okay, that's number one. Let's see what we say about number two, which is Ubisoft's Anno by Wolff Ollins.
Yeah, so I like video games, and I think that's something we see more and more, that like design in terms of graphic design and typography and colors and imagery plays like more and more like a role. I think back in the days it was more like the design came out of the game, the developers,
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Quite often it felt more like an afterthought. Oh shit, we need to put a cover together. They focus on the game and build every detail, but then sometimes the artworks or the brand around it felt a bit short, and I think they start that to put much more attention to this. I think at first, of course, if you look at FIFA, the football games, for example, I think they always did a really good job especially the last couple of years with integrating motion and design. Then I noticed when Collins did the logo for Arcane, it's not a game, it's a TV show, but it's from a video game. Yeah, so it's a video game adaptation. So that was also quite cool, And now you see this more and more often, and Anno is also one of these examples. And I also feel like they did a good job.
And what I do really like about this is that they're returning to craft, and that's where the design is coming from. So they actually commissioned a blacksmith to create the logo, and then they use the process of creating that logo to influence like the design. I think that's really, it's a very simple way, and it's going back to the roots. And I think that's great. Even the color palettes are taken from that time period as well. And that's just how we should be thinking about brands. It all exists. We just have to find it. And I think it's when you try and put stories on top of things to try and get them to make sense is where you struggle. You need to look at the brand and then create the story from the brand. And this is a really nice example of doing that.
Yeah, and I find the whole gaming market super interesting anyway for branding, because you have all this, you know, this fan bases and different cultures, and they all have like their own things and looks and marks, and you know, that's a quite interesting market to look at when it comes to design.
Yeah, so some good stuff there, I would say. All right, then that leaves us with the big boy. I mean, they're all
biggest.
They're all pretty big.
But this is big.
This is very big. This is Amazon. All right, so yeah, Amazon have recently, if you're in the design scene, you will have seen this, the longest case known to man. I think we could start playing this in this review, and you'll see it will continue until the end of this video. It's epic. So we're not going to look at everything. We're just going to look at some bits and pieces, and then you guys have a deeper dive into it. But it's been redone by Koto and the in-house team, XCM. The project actually spanned over 18 months and covered 15 global markets, including 50 sub-brands. That's a lot. I mean, can you imagine having that land on your desk as a brief? That's crazy. That's a big team that you have to get together to make that work.
What did you think when you heard that Koto did Amazon? Did you expect Koto to do the Amazon rebranding?
No, not at all.
No, me too.
Who would you have thought?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably one of the. I mean, Koto is big, especially now they become bigger, but
that's really put them in a different league, I think.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
That's a new league, actually.
But yeah, Amazon has seen like rapid growth over the years, and there's a lot of inconsistency, and it was fragmented.
And Amazon was never really. You never had to. It was. I mean, Apple was always like the super design-driven company.
Yeah, they're not all. I mean, you can see here
the opposite of it, right?
Yeah, and you can see here like everything is just an absolute mess because it is all siloed and compartmentalized somehow. Everyone's doing their own thing, and we'll talk a little bit about that because that's why they had to look into the typeface. So that's really great, seeing type actually solving a problem when it comes to systems. But some of the things that they had to look at were remodernization logo, a unified brand system because so many people using it, flexible type space, a redefined color palette, and a completely new global brand framework. So yeah, a lot of stuff to do, and it all has to look consistent.
I just
imagine
they have because they had to look at everything at once at some point, right? If they had like a big wall where they put everything on it, like all these, how many brands? 50 brands and all the different assets. And okay,
I'm sure they probably killed some.
Let's make sense out of this now.
Yeah, madness. Okay, so this is the logo. So it's the first time it's been touched within 20 years. The original concept drew from this idea of delivering everything from A to Z. Right, so they just do everything. But now the logo should emphasize a more emotional response, and it kind of should emphasize a little bit more on the delight that Amazon brings to the user or to the person that they're actually delivering their services to. Yeah, so they really kind of looked at the smiley part and really
so the logo is the same, but the story is different now.
Yeah, but they tightened it all up and just made it a bit more smiley.
Okay.
Yeah, during the end they have to have some justification for making something more smiley, right? So you can see some different examples. And what I said before, which I think is really cool, is the typeface. So they've introduced something called Amazon Sans. This is... so there's two different parts of this. There's the logo system, and they had to create the Amazon Sans for the logo system, which means if you look here, there's loads and loads of different logos. So these were all the old ones. when you think about it, you probably think, oh yeah, but they all work. But when you look at them like this, you can see that they don't. And they need to have a system. And basically they created the Amazon Sans. And this was designed to unify this design system. So you can basically have the word Amazon and just flick through whatever word you want and it fits. But when we talk about the actual typeface, so there's this kind of legacy as well with inside of Amazon, which I think is actually quite cool, that everybody adopted the typeface, and the typeface they created originally was actually developed for the Kindle, not for a brand. So that was the only typeface that everyone actually had access to. They embraced it and used it on everything, every PowerPoint, every presentation and everything. At some point that gets a bit old and a bit messy, and it was never designed for that.
Pragmatic by nature, huh?
Yeah, and this is the Ember typeface. So what they've actually done is they've created this new version of it called Ember Modern. So it's a reimagined version of the original, and this is designed to work across all media, be adaptive to different contexts, stay quiet and subtle when needed, but be bold and expressive when required.
Does it work on Kindle?
Nice? Oh, a good point, actually. You should hope so, right? But yeah, here's like a couple of examples of the typeface, and yeah, I mean, you know, this is created with intent and cause, and I think, you know, it still remains exciting and fresh. And when you look at it, also the way it's presented and everything, compare it with Adobe, you can see like kind of two different things, but they are kind of facing the same problems. And I think these guys have done it really, really well. It's really systematic and solid and strong. And for me, it's kind of like a what would you say? How
textbook.
Would you say? Textbook. That's the word. Textbook.
Yeah.
Really, it's how it should be done. Done very, very well.
Yeah, I agree. If you look at the case, you just think, yeah, that's what you should have done. Yeah.
Yeah. So well done, Koto.
Well done, Koto.
Next level stuff.
Do you think Jeff Bezos was involved in this process at some point?
Well, you know what? We have.
Hey, Jeff, here we have something new. You want to have a look?
Well, spoiler alert, we actually do have somebody from Koto coming on the channel quite soon.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe that can be one of the questions we can ask. Yeah, but I don't think so.
Why not? I mean,
maybe.
He should, you know, at least say.
I mean, he needs a new typeface for his rocket, so that would have been, or a logo for his rocket. I'm sure that was one of those 50 in the challenge.
Oh, maybe he was also like the bottleneck before because they didn't put too much focus on the brand.
Maybe. All right, cool. That just about wraps up our little AAA edition of some new brands that have just kind of hit the market, and we shared our opinion with you. So yeah, that just about
wraps it up.
Yeah, so thanks for getting this far. If you like it, subscribe it, share it with people who like Amazon and games and brand and all that kind of stuff. And as always, we will see you in the next one.
See ya.